And I'm Carrie Gabris. I'm one of the Business Central directors here at Velosio. So Jen Phoenix is here with me as well. She focuses on some of our vertical industries, whereas I just focus on Business Central and anything sales brings. So I've been at Velosio about 3.5 years, and we have multiple practices within Velosio, but we really focus on Business Central. I've been with that product specifically for 26, 27 years. Also was an end user of NAV at the time for about 8 years, so implemented it around the world. And so worked with a lot of ISV partners, and excited to be here today to talk about SignUp.
Now, part of the discussions we've had has been around the area with Mark Stewart. We were talking about different verticals and things and how you really build your businesses, and certainly it's different for an ISV than it is for an integrator. Can you just share the verticals that both of you, I should say all of you are working in? I'll start with Ben and kind of work your way around.
Yeah, we work with all sorts of different industries, from fashion to manufacturing, both discrete and process manufacturing, and then also professional services and the finance industry, as well as healthcare and kind of the different sub-industries within healthcare and different solutions that they require around that as well.
Mekorma is a horizontal solution. Payments are fairly ubiquitous throughout multiple industries. The characteristics of companies that we work the best with are going to be ones with multiple entities or complex ecosystems. And so yeah, we don't necessarily specialize in a specific vertical. We are a horizontal player.
Yeah, we run the gamut. So our verticals focus with our Progressives product, which is for professional services. We have a cannabis product as well, Silverleaf, and agribusiness, and then really across all industries as well. I've been with a 2-person family-owned company, waterbed for cows, up through learning how to make mayonnaise jars in a manufacturing facility, and the railroad car with pellets comes up, and you measure the volume by a stick being stuck into the railroad car. So everything in between, but jewelry, discrete process manufacturing, same as Ben. Distribution, yeah, really all of it.
Cannabis.
Yep.
No wonder you're really so happy about that.
Well,
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. We work working very closely with all three of you in the area of financial process automation. And I see, I hear from lots of team members, of course, the Mekorma team, if I were to, of course, Ben Lane, who's been working with my friend Patrick on our team. That being said, financial process automation, there's a lot of challenges there. The things that you heard today from Mark Stewart resonate with what's happening to you now with the changes in the market?
I do. I think that we're really going to be entering in a time where I really liked Mark's term capital preservation, right? I think like when COVID happened, we had to realize how do we stay relevant in a time where things are happening and businesses go into this fear and anxiety and desire mode. How do we stay relevant? And I think with the automation, that's a lot of it. It's just how are we continuing to have that value add? And with BC as the ERP solution, a lot of that is with the ISV partners, and then those unique specifics they can bring to help us round out solutions. So I think it's how, with COVID, it was automated workflows were important. As consultants, we're used to working remotely, but clients weren't necessarily used to that. So we had to figure out how to help them work from home, right? And so I think we're coming into another time like that where we really have to figure out how do we stay value added, how do we stay relevant, how do we stay understanding what their business problems are. And being in a horizontal kind of world, I can't focus specifically on some of the things like SignUp can do, and really understanding that CFO persona, what those companies are really looking for and going through, and being the experts really in that area. So we count on those type of providers heavily.
Now, you work closely also with our training teams and what goes on there, some of the work that Heather and her folks have done. Has that been helpful to you in really trying to establish those skill sets and other things that you need to be able to do that type of work?
It's been amazing. So I actually have a newer relationship with SignUp Software, just for me personally, even though we've been doing, collective business with them for a long time. And one of the things that I appreciate the most, and I haven't told you this, Bob, is that we present ourselves as one solution, right? A client doesn't need to be bothered with what standard, Business Central, what is from the partner. And the last thing I want is finger pointing between different consultants on different teams. And SignUp has been amazing at integrating us into their process, integrating us into them integrating into our selling process, and really presenting as one solution. Very flexible with us, different resources move around within our company, and people that were trained now are in different areas of the company, and they've been right there asking, well, who's next? Who do you want us to bring on for you in our training programs? And just the quality it's been unsurpassed, really.
I appreciate those comments, definitely. And I think it's a testament to Heather and her teams, and also to now the work that's coming from Laura with their partner information systems and other things that you go and take advantage of. So that's exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Brendan, you're a new addition to the family in some ways, with the alliance we just announced and other things. And I think for a lot of people, we heard Sawyer talk about the fact that we stop and then you pick it up from there and you complete that payment process. And we've heard from a lot of customers that this is crucial to their ability to turn around the process that much faster and complete that. Why did you choose to work with Exwell and with SignUp?
Well, we were told there was going to be whiskey.
I didn't say that at first, but I will bribe you that way if you're interested in it.
I didn't get any extra whiskey, Bob.
Yeah, we'll see it afterwards.
He's got a bottle waiting for you back there, Carrie.
The relationship between Mekorma and SignUp, I think, is really a match made in heaven. I think that both as Mekorma grows our presence in our in the Business Central space, and as SignUp continues to grow its footprint in North America, payments are here in the United States. We've made payments nice and complicated, and so being able to have that finish the swing when it comes to the other pieces. I think 10 plus years ago when I joined the fintech industry, a lot of it was based in that first column that Mark talked to us about as far as a money kind of driver. And that kind of seen as maybe a luxury that maybe companies could afford. And now what I think we're seeing more and more of, and what this drove home for me, is that it's not. It's something that you can't really afford not to have in some cases, both from a scalability perspective, a security perspective, and I think that the other pieces that Laura went through related to the way that SignUp does business is so in line with Mekorma, related to the trust, the intentionality, the mindfulness. I will say that even though I try and hide this from clients, I learn something from Bob every time I'm on a call with him, and I'm like, I knew that, yep. So the teaching, bringing some of the industry best practices is something that SignUp has really driven home for us at Mekorma.
Well, thank you. I will say one thing too, and I'm old school. I'm not gonna tell everybody how old I am, but I will say I'm old school. And my wife still writes checks, okay? But one of the things I've noticed is that now she does a lot more electronic fund transfers. Mostly just due to the fact that our kids are calling up and saying, Dad, we need money. All right, send them some money. And rather than sending them a check or running to the bank and having to get in the cash, we're doing that. And you can see the natural synergy of the two organizations now coming together, because, again, you're able to have a seamless process of that payment all the way through. When it hits the payment register, and then the bank gets satisfied, Business Central's updated. Customers are extremely pleased with that, so we're very proud of that relationship, so thank you for those comments. And Ben Lane, I know we worked together on what happened with Cinesoft and such, but there's been a lot of other things that have been going on, and your organization continues to grow, and you have been taking advantage of some of our services as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, working with SignUp Software has been wonderful. That's why we continue to work with them, and I guess I'm going to be the fourth or fifth person to say it today. Dr. Carmers kind of took my little spiel before I could say it, but they walk the walk. They don't just talk about it. And watching, you know, kind of Mark's presentation and I guess the precursor or the science behind kind of the why you do it, and then seeing Laura follow up with what she had to present was kind of just almost like a trip down memory lane or reality of what the last year and a half working alongside them has been like. They are always there to, you know, step in when needed or kind of step back when we want to work with the partner kind of ourselves in the pre-sale process or through things like that. You know, Bob likes to sell and get it done and talk to him, but sometimes he you know, we would just want to give him, you know, an extra day or two, and so he'd check in with me and I say, can we just wait until next week or tomorrow before we ask him again? And they're always, you know, with guidance and everything. And then even after the sales process, kind of we really value the support and not wanting to, you know, muddy the water or step on toes, as Mark is kind of referring to in the beginning of his presentation, that, you know, once you kind of taint it a little bit, then they're hesitant, and we see our partners as a reflection in our customers' eyes of what we provide to them. And so we are very, very picky in particular with choosing to work so closely and regularly with SignUp Software. They have always delivered without question. You can always rely on them to show up and, I guess, mirror the Admiral way, as we like to put it.
Well, given the size and scope of Velosio as an organization, Carrie, and the number of things that you do touch, and verticals and other types of things, I know that your organization has recently entered into more of a closer relationship with us. Not so much in the way that we've worked in the past, but more so in the way of you're down the face to your clients. So from the standpoint of software, services, and everything, we've stepped back and we're providing services on the back end side to you when needed, but you're now that face. And how important is that to you as you continue to grow your business? And then if we look at the reinforcement of things that we're providing to help you get there, how does that set you apart?
I think it starts out with the sales cycle. You know, SignUp has just been there just to be very supportive, whether I'm, you know, bugging Heather with what's it gonna take to implement this or that, you know, as we're learning how much time different things will take to do on our own and our training ramp up time and that sort of thing. Being very willing to present with us, to answer any questions, and the response time is unreal. So it's all really started with the sales cycle, I think. And then our consultants are excited about the product. You know, SignUp has just really become a front runner for us. Really, the product itself really fits our customer profile very well. It's not only easily absorbable from our clients during implementation, but the configuration from our consultants. I was actually having consultants talk to me about your product before we formed our relationship together, and I learned more about you. So really just the usability of it, the reliability of it. Our people getting trained understood it just very much more innately, and then that has just naturally translated to the clients. And then being very excited about the Mekorma relationship as well, because the GP world has a really tight hold on Mekorma, and we're hoping to see a lot of those, come over to BC. So I'm just really excited now about having that closed-loop process.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, and I'm going to actually put you on the spot. This is really towards our teams within SignUp. When we measure the success of a relationship, we look at a couple of different indicators. Do we conform to your needs? Are we improving? Okay, who's doing best? But at the end of the day, if we continue to conform and improve, we build confidence. And there's a statistical confidence index that you can draw down to. If I was to ask you, whoever wants to take the first shot, so to speak, how well do we conform to your needs? And if so, are there things we can be doing better?
I'll give a very poignant example. We had a situation where our sales team did not provide the right information to our client to really follow along with our agreement with SignUp. And there were several leaders within our company that got a little nervous about that, and how are we gonna handle that? And I said, we're just gonna ask Bob. We're just gonna ask him to step in and help us out this once, right? We messed up, and we're just gonna ask him. And the immediate answer was, yes, what can I do? So it would, someone made the comment, I don't remember who it was, but that you have our back, and that just consistently builds that trust and confidence, right? And the approachability, I wasn't afraid to ask. I didn't have this feeling that it was gonna cause complications, or, sully how you might think about Velosio or anything like that, because we were building that relationship. So I think that really was just a testament to the path that we're on together.
Okay, well, we appreciate that confidence, thank you. And I do know you will tell me if we are not continuing to conform to
Oh, I
your
will.
needs. I know you will, I know you will. Anyone else want to say a few things?
Yeah, I'll share. We've been in the GP space for 30 years with a high level of trust with our partners and our customers in that space, and so we've been very intentional about our move into Business Central, and cautious to a certain extent as to who we would partner with. And I will say, in the first series of interactions with SignUp, any doubts were alleviated, as to say such a high level of trust that you build with your partners and with your clients, and that kind of set us at ease in a really beautiful way, to introduce you to anybody and everybody that we would want to engage with. We'll also just make one point about the response times. I don't know how you do it. That's just incredible. Yeah, like today, I've experienced it, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
I agree on the response times as well. And I guess to keep referencing it, I guess it really kind of resonated with me, Mark's presentation at the beginning. And he had a slider, little bit on, one of the biggest hurdles or things that he encounters is the partners or people who, it's our customer. We don't want anyone to touch it. We want to control the whole add-on, from add-ons, ISVs, everything like that. And say when I first started at Admiral, I was very much like that. I didn't want many of our ISVs taking on the customer support or putting the trust into them, treating the customer as we would or as we like to. And so I guess in response to your question, I would say that you set the standard of the bar, or the comparison point of what we compare when we're judging or venting other ISVs and their support response times and capabilities and priorities of us. You set the standard for that, and that's our starting point. You gotta meet that.
Well, I will say this, those are great. We appreciate everything that you're sharing. Sometimes if there's something that isn't working, don't worry, you're gonna tell us. And I'm also sometimes questioned by the fact that who does it better? I always get the mom answer, but that's a different story. So we appreciate your feedback on all of this. Thank you very much. Any questions from the floor? Would anyone like to ask a question? It's Jason Comfort. Jason, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead and ask your question. We're doing pretty good on the technology today. That's a Swedish microphone.
Hey everyone. When you think about what Microsoft's doing related to the really accelerated effort of co-pilots and agents that handle business process areas and capabilities that kind of overlap with what SignUp does and what other vendors do, can you talk about how you think about SignUp in the context of Microsoft's plans?
I think one of the things that just reflecting on the ecosystem as a whole that both partners and ISVs help with is to meet the business where they are, in the sense that to a certain extent Microsoft will release into a best practice world, and ISVs and partners need to recognize the level of maturity that a organization has when it comes to a certain business process, and be able to match the solutions that they're putting into that roadmap. So I think that there's a lot of very exciting stuff that is coming out of Microsoft. I think it's up to us in this room, honestly, to be able to create a roadmap for a given client based on their own maturity, because I think we've all seen the situation where you have a ridiculously robust piece of software, but a business process that's not quite there in order to support it, right? So I don't know if that addressed it, but.
I think even too, because there's still companies that don't want to go to the cloud, right? They just don't trust it. And so I think that was a really great point, meeting them where they are. And just that absorbability, you know, it kind of gets back to just keeping things simple, right? Not overcomplicating just because we can, or not pushing a client just because it's there. But still making sure they understand that roadmap, what the future can hold for them, and just building their trust along the way. But yeah, being able to navigate, I think that absorbability of functionality.
Okay. Jason, is that good for you? Okay. Well, I know we run out of time, but we wanted to do this because we wanted to give folks here a chance to hear from some real-life partners who are spending time in the trenches, selling Business Central, selling into the office of the CFO. And you've all experienced an incredible amount of information today, from Mark Stewart on down, about how this engagement can merit itself out. I know over the course of the next couple of days, we're going to be sharing a lot of other information in our sessions, but I really appreciate you stepping up and putting yourself up there for this type of discussion, so thank you very much. And if you didn't get any of the whiskey, I guess he's got another round he's going to do now, so make sure you have a little bit more. Thank you.